Alright guys, so today all we're really focusing on is the vocab of some of the words. Some of them you have already covered, some of them are new. Make sure you write them all down on your notes. If you need to pause the video throughout the video, because I'm going to give you the word, then I'm going to give a little example after the word. Pause the video as many times as you need to. Alright, so once you're done, submit all your notes from today's video so I can see that you've taken all the notes. So let's get started on today's video. Alright guys, a line usually goes on forever on both directions. Okay, so we have our line. The rule that applies for a line is a line has to have at least 2 points. Okay, at least. A, B. It could have more, but it has to have at least 2, no less than 2. Okay? So that is a line. A line that continues forever has at least 2 points. A ray is a line that starts off at a point but continues going indefinitely. Okay? So we have our point A again. We have point A. Our line keeps going. We have point B. Point B. But wait, our line keeps going forever. Okay? So a ray, think of the sun. The sun throws rays of sun like to Earth. They start off from the sun, they go indefinitely until they hit something. This is the same with a ray. You start off at a certain point and you keep going indefinitely. Okay? A line segment is a line that only goes at a certain amount or a certain distance. Okay? So a line segment, you have your point A, and your line starts at point A and stops at point B. Okay? That is a line segment. You start off at one point and at another point. Notice that the line doesn't continue going, it stops at the point. That is a line segment. Parallel lines are 2 lines or more, could be more than 2, but it's lines that run the same way but never intersect. Okay? So think of whenever you're on the road, you're on your driving side, you're driving, next to you there's another lane. Notice that the lanes keep on going, they don't really cross from each other, they just keep going forever, right? The same with parallel lines. So lines that go on forever. You can also see them like this, or even on a 45, okay? But they never intersect each other. Those are parallel lines. Intersecting lines, think of an intersection where the line meets. There's a bunch of different roads, right, that intersect. The same with lines. You have 2 lines that intersect. So they touch at a certain point, okay? So 2 lines that intersect are called intersecting lines. All right, guys, collinear points are points that are on a straight line, okay? So we have this line. In order to be collinear points, they have to be on that line. So they have A, B, and C. Notice how the line straight These are called collinear points, points on a straight line. If it's not a straight line, then there are no longer collinear points. All right, guys, coplanar points are points that are scattered throughout a plane. They have to be inside the plane though. Okay, so we have our plane. We're gonna label it N. Let's say we have a point here that is A, a point here that is B, a point here that is C, and then we have a point here that is D. Okay? In order to be coplanar points, they have to be at least 3 points on that plane. They have to be inside, okay? Doesn't matter where they're located as long as they're inside the plane. Point D is not a coplanar or coplanar because it's outside the plane, okay? Remember, guys, the vertex is always that point or that where those two lines intersect to form a point. That is your vertex. Okay? Where two things meet up or intersection of two lines create a vertex. Think of an acute angle as a very small angle. It hasn't even grown yet. When they're small, like babies, they're cute, right? That's what acute, cute. So think of an angle that is very small, okay? It hasn't grown. This angle can only measure between 0 and 89 degrees, okay? Well, technically not even 0, but the rule, the example or the definition states that it's 0 and between 0 and 89 degrees. So that's an acute angle. A right angle can only be exactly 90 degrees, okay guys? So think of an L. There's our L. So it has to be exactly 90 degrees. No more, no less, just 90 degrees. This is a right angle. An obtuse angle is an angle that opens up a little more than an L, okay? So remember, we kind of already covered right, obtuse, acute. So acute opens more than 90, so it's between 91 degrees and 179 degrees, okay? An obtuse angle opens more than 90. So it's between 91 and 179 degrees. A straight angle is, think of a line that just goes straight. Then you make a little hump in the middle. Think of like a sort of like a sunrise. The land and then the sun is rising. Okay? Notice that this equals 180 degrees. So this is called a straight angle. Okay? Because it's straight. It equals 180 degrees. A complementary angle usually starts off with an L, okay? Looks familiar, right? Looks like a right angle, okay? So, a complementary angle is your right angle cut into two pieces. So we're gonna make a line. Now it's a complementary angle because we know that the whole thing is 90. It always has to equal 90. So if I say this is 70, this is 20, it equals 90, right? So a complementary angle is two angles that come together to form a 90-degree angle. Remember we already covered supplementary angles? Supplementary angles are two angles that come together to form a 180-degree angle. So this is right now a straight angle, right? So we have a straight angle that equals 180 degrees. A supplementary angle, you have to cut it into two pieces. Now you have X and Y, now two angles that come up together to make a supplementary angle. So remember, both angles are different degrees. Sometimes the line might be in the middle, but still both angles equal 90 degrees, okay? So supplementary angle is two angles that come together to equal 180 degrees. Congruent angles are two angles that are the same degree. They don't necessarily need to be attached to each other, okay? So we can have an angle flowing here that is 30 degrees. And then we can have an angle here that is 30 degrees. Notice that they're not together, but they're congruent angles because they're both 30 degrees. Okay? So let's move on to the next one. For vertical angles, think of an hourglass or think of two lines that intersect. Okay? So let's start off with two lines that intersect. Your vertical angles are the two angles that are across from each other, opposite from each other. So in this case, the vertical angle for one would be across, which is across from it to the opposite side. Okay? For two, it would be on top. Two. Okay? They're across from each other. They're vertical angles. Okay? Think of, like I said, think of an hourglass. Let's see if I can make this into our little hourglass. All right. Notice that you might start off with sand somewhere on one of them. Let's pretend we flipped it. The sand's up here and it's falling in. Notice that the angles where they meet, those are your vertical angles. Okay? So let's move on to the next one. All right, guys. So an angle bisector is, think of whenever you have an angle. This is a 90-degree angle, right? So it's a right angle. An angle bisector always cuts the shape in half. Okay? Always. So here's our angle bisector. Notice that the origin, you can think of it sort of like a ray, what we covered earlier. You have your origin, where you start off at, which is your vertex. So you have your vertex. So it starts from the vertex outward and cuts it in half. So this becomes a 45 degrees here and a 45 degrees here. So an angle bisector always cuts a shape or an angle in half, okay? So you might see a rectangle. Sometimes it also covers from angle to angle, cuts it in half, okay? So again, this is an angle bisector because the angles, it cut them in half. So make sure you put that example on your notes for an angle bisector. Now, or this is the last one. So let's move on to the last part of this video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm not gonna require you guys to send or an assignment. All I'm gonna ask of you guys for today is just send a picture of the notes. This way I know you guys took all the notes. I know it took the video a little while. It took a little probably long because we had to write down all those notes, all those vocab words, also the examples. So today all you have to do is submit a picture of your notes. This way I know you have them. And to my email address. So I'll be waiting to hear from you.